All right, so bundle up, everybody, because we are diving into some serious winter weather hitting the Northeast and Midwest.
Yeah.
We've got this article from USA Today,
Okay.
and they're saying, get ready for a parade of storms.
Wow. A parade.
Yeah, and the forecast is looking pretty dramatic.
Well, the thing is, cities like Boston, New York, and D.C., they could see more snow in the next few weeks than they have in the past 2 winters combined.
2 winters worth of snow
Yeah.
in just a few weeks.
Crazy, right?
That is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's break down this first storm that's hitting this weekend, February 8th.
Okay.
Now, it's not just snow. We're talking snow, sleet, and freezing rain across the Midwest and the Northeast.
Yeah, and that mix can really make a big difference in the impact. Like for D.C. and Baltimore, they're expecting that wintry mix during the day on Saturday.
Oh, so like right in the middle of the day.
Yeah, imagine that.
Rush hour. The roads are going to be a mess.
Total mess. Schools might even have to close early.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
So what about further north? I know New York is expecting some snow.
Yeah, New York is looking at up to 4 inches,
Okay.
which for them isn't too out of the ordinary,
Right.
but it's still enough to cause some headaches. But then you go up to Boston and they could see 6 to 12 inches.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a lot to handle, even for a city that's used to those snowy winters.
6 to 12. That's a serious snow day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just the amount of snow, right? We need to talk about the travel hazards
Right.
that come with these types of storms.
Absolutely. When you have heavy snow like that, visibility drops drastically.
Oh, yeah.
And then you add in the sleet and freezing rain.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking at potentially dangerous conditions on roads, bridges, overpasses,
Yeah.
especially those flash freezes.
Oh, yeah.
The time that can turn roads into ice rinks just like that.
That's so scary.
Yeah, be careful.
So if anyone is planning on driving in those areas this Saturday,
Yeah.
maybe rethink those plans.
Yeah, I would say so. The National Weather Service, they're issuing warnings about hazardous driving conditions.
Right.
They're not exaggerating. If you absolutely have to travel, make sure your vehicle is prepared with snow tires, full tank of gas, emergency kit,
Yeah.
and maybe pack some extra blankets just in case.
Always good to be prepared. You know, this deep dive is already packed with important information. If you're finding this helpful so far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more insights like this.
Definitely.
Now back to these storms.
Okay.
I heard there's more than just this one this weekend.
Oh, yeah. This is just the beginning. USA Today used the term parade of storms.
Oh, what?
It's a very apt description.
Okay.
So football fans, they might get a reprieve Sunday for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Because this first storm is supposed to wind down by the evening.
Okay, well, that's good.
But the next one is already lining up.
A parade of storms. Okay, this is starting to sound a little intense. Give us the details. What's coming next?
So this second storm, it's expected to develop in Texas late Monday, February 10th,
Okay.
and then move towards the mid-Atlantic coast by Wednesday.
Right.
Now, what's interesting here is that it's bringing a much larger area of snow and ice to the north,
Okay.
plus heavy rain and even a risk of severe weather down in the south and southeast.
So this isn't just a northern issue anymore.
Right.
This is impacting a huge chunk of the country.
It is.
So what kind of severe weather are we talking about in the south? Is that typical for this time of year?
Well, we could see anything from high winds and hail to even the possibility of tornadoes, which is unusual even for the South in winter.
Wow.
So while folks might be enjoying some unseasonably warm weather down there this weekend,
Right.
they definitely need to be prepared for a wild shift.
From warm sunshine to tornadoes, talk about weather whiplash. And then on top of that, we've got this heavy snow threat for the mid-Atlantic, potentially from D.C. all the way up to New York City, especially on Tuesday.
Right. And the potential for major disruptions to travel and daily life with this second storm is something to watch closely.
Oh, yeah.
We could be looking at school closures, flight cancellations, all sorts of logistical challenges.
Wow, it's like this winter weather is throwing everything it's got at us.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier about those unseasonably warm temperatures in the south.
Yes.
That seems like a wild contrast to what's happening up north.
It really is. The deep south is seeing temperatures up to 30 degrees above average this weekend,
Wow.
with many areas reaching a balmy 80 degrees.
80 degrees
Yeah.
in February.
It's crazy, right? Almost like 2 different seasons happening at the same time.
So while some people are breaking out their shorts and sandals down south,
Right.
others are bundling up in parkas and snow boots up north.
Exactly. It's a pretty incredible contrast. contrast.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really highlights those extremes we're seeing in weather patterns these days.
It does.
And it's not just about comfort.
Right.
These extreme swings, they have real consequences. They affect everything.
Yeah, everything.
Agriculture, infrastructure, people's health.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how much we've uncovered just from this one USA Today article.
Right.
There's so much to learn about these weather patterns and their impact.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg.
There's more.
Stay tuned, because we're about to dive even deeper into this winter weather extravaganza.
All right, I am ready.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we've got this parade of storms coming, bringing snow and ice, and even a touch of severe weather.
Yeah.
But before we get to that third storm that's brewing,
Okay.
you mentioned some pretty serious implications from these extreme weather swings.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. These wild temperature swings, they aren't just about, grabbing a coat or breaking out the sunscreen.
Right.
They can have a ripple effect on all sorts of things. Like for farmers, it can disrupt planting schedules, it can harm crops.
Okay.
And for our infrastructure, especially in places that aren't used to extreme cold, it can lead to burst pipes and power outages.
It's like our infrastructure just isn't prepared for this kind of weather whiplash.
Exactly. And even for our health.
Oh, yeah.
These rapid shifts can be tough on our bodies, especially for people with respiratory issues or weaker immune systems.
It's not just about dealing with the immediate storm. It's those long-term effects on our systems and our bodies.
Yes. And when you have multiple storms back to back, like this parade we're facing, those impacts, they just get amplified.
Yeah.
It's like getting hit with a 1-2 punch.
Oh, wow.
And then another punch right after that.
Okay, so we need to be prepared for this wild weather ride. But how can we even begin to prepare for something that's so unpredictable?
Well, first and foremost, it's all about staying informed.
Okay.
Don't just, check the weather app once and call it a day.
Right.
Keep up with the latest forecasts and warnings from reliable sources like the National Weather Service or your local news.
Right. Don't just rely on those, social media rumors or outdated information.
No.
Go straight to those official sources.
Exactly. And speaking of being your own weather detective, think about your specific situation.
Right.
If you're in the path of one of these storms, what are the potential risks? Do you live in an area that's prone to flooding?
Okay.
Do you rely on electricity for medical equipment?
Yeah.
These are the kinds of questions you need to ask yourself.
So it's about being proactive.
Yes.
Planning ahead.
Absolutely.
And not just reacting when the storm hits.
Exactly. Think of it like this. If you were going on a camping trip, you wouldn't just show up at the campsite without any supplies, right?
All right.
You'd pack your tent, your sleeping bag, your food, everything else you might need.
You want to be prepared for any situation.
Exactly. It's the same with these winter storms.
Okay.
Make sure you have enough non-perishable food.
Okay.
Water, batteries, flashlights, other essentials in case of a power outage. And don't forget about your furry friends.
Oh, of course.
Make sure they have enough food and water.
Yes.
And a warm place to stay as well.
So it's like winter weather camping, but in your own home.
Exactly. And if you have elderly neighbors or family members, check in on them.
Okay.
Make sure they're safe.
Right.
They have everything they need.
Yeah.
These storms can be especially challenging for those who might not be as mobile or self-sufficient.
It's all about looking out for each other and building that community support.
It is.
Now, we've talked a lot about these upcoming storms.
Yes.
But you mentioned a third one brewing for later next week.
Right.
What can you tell us about that one?
Well, the models are still a bit uncertain.
Okay.
But this one seems to be targeting the Midwest.
Okay.
Cities like Kansas City, St. Louis, and Chicago.
All right.
They could be in the bullseye for some potentially heavy snow.
Wow.
It's almost like these storms are playing a game of weather roulette.
Oh, yeah.
Spinning around the country and leaving a trail of snow, ice, and rain in their wake.
It's a dramatic image, but you're right. It does feel like that.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, how will different regions adapt and cope with these increasingly unpredictable and extreme weather patterns?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's something we need to be thinking about collectively as a society.
Absolutely. We've covered so much ground in this deep dive already, from the science of these storms to the practical tips for staying safe. If you're finding this information as fascinating as we are, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more.
Definitely.
Now back to that million-dollar question. What can we do to prepare for these unpredictable weather patterns?
Well, for starters, we need to shift our mindset from simply reacting to these events to proactively planning for them.
Right.
Think of it as building resilience, both for our communities and ourselves.
Resilience, that's a good word for it. But what does that look like in practice?
It's about making smart choices, both big and small. Right.
At a community level, it means investing in infrastructure that can withstand extreme weather events. Things like stronger power grids, better drainage systems, more resilient buildings.
So we're talking about like big picture solutions, like updating our cities and towns to be ready for whatever Mother Nature throws at us.
Right.
But what can individuals do to build that personal resilience you mentioned?
It's all about taking those proactive steps we talked about earlier, having an emergency plan, stocking up on essential supplies, and staying informed about those potential risks. But it's also about taking care of yourself, making sure you're getting enough sleep, eating healthy foods, managing stress. Because when you're physically and mentally strong, you're better equipped to handle any challenge, whether it's a snowstorm or a heat wave.
It's like taking a holistic approach to weather preparedness. It's not just about having the right gear.
It's about being mentally and physically prepared as well.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of community. Check in on your neighbors, especially those who might be vulnerable, and be willing to lend a helping hand. Because weathering these storms is about coming together and supporting each other.
It's a reminder that we're all in this together.
We are.
We've talked a lot about the impacts of these storms and the importance of preparedness. But I'm curious, what is the connection between these extreme weather events and climate change?
That's a great question, and it's something scientists are studying very closely. While it's difficult to link any single weather event directly to climate change, we are seeing a clear trend of more frequent and intense extreme weather events as global temperatures rise.
So it's not as simple as saying climate change causes more snowstorms.
No.
It's more nuanced than that.
Absolutely. Climate change is disrupting weather patterns in very complex ways. Warmer temperatures can lead to warmer air holding more moisture. And that moisture has to go somewhere. So sometimes it falls as heavier rain, and sometimes, in the right conditions, it falls as heavier snow.
So it's like Mother Nature has turned up the volume on everything.
That's a great way to put it.
The highs are higher, the lows are lower.
Yeah.
And the storms are more intense.
They are.
It's almost like we're living in a real-life disaster movie sometimes.
Well, let's not get too carried away with the Hollywood comparisons, but you're right. We are seeing some pretty dramatic shifts in our weather patterns.
We are.
And it's a reminder that we need to be prepared for the unexpected. And be willing to adapt to these changes.
Adaptability.
Yes.
Resilience.
Exactly.
Those are definitely the key words here.
They are.
So what can our listeners do to be more adaptable and resilient in the face of this wild weather?
The first step is simply to be aware, understand the potential risks in your area, and stay informed about weather forecasts. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to the weather.
Being your own weather detective.
Exactly.
Pay attention to those patterns and trends.
Yes, and then it's about planning ahead. Have that emergency plan, stock up on those essential supplies, and know what to do if the power goes out.
It's all about being proactive rather than reactive.
It is.
Don't wait till the storm hits to start thinking about these things.
Exactly. And finally, remember that you're not alone. Reach out to your neighbors, check on your loved ones, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. We're all in this together, and we can get through these challenges by supporting each other.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
You know, this deep dive has been absolutely fascinating.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from the science of these storms to the very real impacts on our lives, and even that connection to climate change.
It's a lot.
If you're as eager as we are to learn more about these topics, be sure to check out the resources we've linked in the show notes.
Absolutely. And of course, hit that subscribe button.
Yes.
And follow us on social media for more deep dives into this fascinating world around us.
We'd love to have you.
We're here to help you navigate the complexities of our ever-changing planet, one insightful episode at a time.
All right, folks, that's a wrap for this week's deep dive. Stay warm, stay safe, and until next time, keep those brains curious.
Sounds good.